All praises to Yahweh. All praises to Yahawashi. All praises for the Rakah Quadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that have been and continue to teach the true gospel. Salute to the Akim, spreading the true gospel on the streets and lanes of the city, on the highways and hedges, and on the World Wide Web. Much love to YAHAWAH, who learn science with all subjection and on a righteous order under the men of YAHAWAH Yahawashi. This is the Brother Raza from the Church of Philadelphia camp. And the Lord just put in my spirit to go into, how the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men, right? And so whatever he wants, whatever his will is, that shall it be. And, because when the Lord gives certain men a little bit of power, a little bit of strength, they go overboard and forget where that power and that strength was given. And you see it in the truth, you see it out of the truth, right? Where men begin to want other people to magnify and glorify them as if they are in control of anything, right? So this scripture just reminds you that the Lord can have you out here looking crazy, because you want to puff up your chest, because you think you are somebody when you're not, And so this is what happened to King Nebuchadnezzar, right? Because he was puffing up his chest and thinking he was, doing things, when in all actuality it was Yahawah Bashim Yahawashi, and he got a judgment set for him that you would never think that a king would go through, and this is what Daniel told him. But enough of me babbling. Let's get into the precept. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 4. Let's go with 32. Says, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. So, Daniel told him, you're going to be with the animals. The kingdom is going to depart from you, and you're going to be with the animals. That's how low the Lord is going to bring you down. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee. Yeah. So you're actually going to think you're an animal. You're not just going to live among them. You're going to think you are, and you're going to eat grass for your food. 7 years. Until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So the Most High sets up kings and sets down kings. The Most High will give rulership, and that's it. Nothing that you do, nothing that you think you have power over. The Most High has the power. So that's why when he sets kings over us as a nation, we got to serve out our punishment and render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and not try to fight back or overthrow, right? Lest we cause our lives to be shortened, right? So the Lord sets up nations to be our whipping stick, and we see that through all of our captivities. And so we become under their jurisdiction, not to break the law, statutes, and commandments, but it's also not to fight against it, because the Lord has set a time for us to be in captivity when we go off. And so throughout all these captivities, he set that time. and then gives us the power to be removed from that captivity. And that's what we're praying for now, that removal of this captivity so that we can dwell in righteousness. And so when that kingdom is translated back to us, it's going to be a forever kingdom back to us. You know, and that's the heaven that we're going to have. That's the rulership that we're going to have, is that we are going to be in rulership. And when people talk about, well, who's going to be in the kingdom? Who's going to be in the kingdom? Hey, it's not about who's going to be in the kingdom. It's who's going to rule in this kingdom, in this age. And the Israelites are ruling in this kingdom, in the next age forever. And there's not going to be any more translating of nations ruling. So we get it confused in terms of worrying about who's going to be in the kingdom. It's who's set up to rule in the next kingdom. And it's the Israelites, whether you like it, believe it, understand it or not. And so that's what we're working for. We're working for our salvation so that we can rule in the next kingdom. Right? Not that there's some place above the firmament, right? Or a hell below the firmament. So, we have to basically figure out how we work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. And the YAHAWAH Messiah is giving us the blueprint. Hey, we got to do the work. We got to keep the faith. We got to trust in him no matter what's happening around us. Because people are going to try to condemn us. They want to false accuse us. But knowing that YAHAWAH Hashem Yahawashi has the power and will keep you safe and in his bosom, right? As long as you keep doing the work, as long as you keep your hand on the plow. And he's shown over and over and over again, despite all these mockers and scoffers that, have once been in your life. Hey, the Lord is removing people from the prophets' lives right now, so that the true prophets of the Lord can focus on him. It says, Slakia, verse 33, the same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails were like bird's claws. Hey, and we've seen some of these people who grow up in the forest, or how they come out, right? Just looking like an animal, right? Unkept. And that's how King Nebuchadnezzar looked. You go from a king to again being unkept, living in the wild, right? And that's what's happened. And the Lord had him so bugged out that he actually thought he was an animal. It says, and at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praise and honor him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. So, hey, the Lord gave him back his right mind. But it wasn't to say, again, anything that Nebuchadnezzar did, but it was to have him glorify and magnify the name of YAHAWAH Shem Shai, who actually gave him that power in the first place to rule. So people knew what happened to him. because Daniel prophesied it, right? It says, and all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand or his hand to him. What doest? You know, what doest thou? Yeah, nobody can say unto the Lord, what are you doing? You can't do that. You know, it says, and all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. So we're nothing. Unless YAHAWAH gives us the direction, right? But there's no free will. You know, he's going to give us this direction. So, you know, hey, Nebuchadnezzar found out the hard way. And he began to understand who had the power, who was the one true and only living power. You know, and soon these kings of this earth are going to understand who is the one true only living power when he raises up his men, the Israelites, the 144,000. They're going to see the strangeness of our salvation. You know, and all the mockers, scoffers, and scorners, they're going to see. You know, and the ones that we cared for and wanted them to understand who we were and whom's we were. And they mocked and scoffed at us as if we were nothing. The Lord's going to have a judgment for you. So, hey, Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. Until next time, shalom.